First off, I don't care what you people say. Never follow rules, I'm a trendsetter anyway. Okay, I march to the beat of my own drum. They say I need rules in my life, well I got some. That's one, kill the competition. Two, be a loyal dog. Three, and if they snitching on your man, send them to the mall. Four, when you party, go hard till you hit the floor. Five, if you didn't see me do it, what the hell you asking for? Welcome to my world. S-I-N-A.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Big Llama Show. I'm the Big Llama. Welcome to the Sunday night live stream. We come to you live every Sunday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, here on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch with my partner here, Blackout AD. Let's bring him on to start the show. Blackout AD, welcome to the show, sir. How are you this fine evening?
What it do, Llama?
Man, I'm excited, man. I've been, we haven't really talked on purpose, I think, about Deadpool and Wolverine because we wanted to talk about it for the show. I'm really excited about tonight's show. If you guys haven't seen the warnings, we are going to talk spoilers and everything about Deadpool and Wolverine. So if you haven't watched it, this is your spoiler warning. We're going to talk a little bit about, just something a little bit, to get you to maybe, I don't know. We don't want you to tune out, but at the same time, we're going to be talking about it. So if you haven't seen it yet, shame on you. The freaking movie grossed almost $500 million in its opening weekend, $438 million. So hopefully you've seen the movie, but we're going to talk about it. This is our spoiler review. We're going to talk about all the cameos, all the things we loved about it. So we're excited. We're excited to get into this topic, man. It's been a great fucking weekend. So, how you been, man? You been good?
Yeah, it's been a good week, man. Been a good week.
Hey, you got the popcorn bucket, man.
I did. I got some.
I'm jealous.
Popcorn bucket.
I went to get it.
Like $80.
Are they? They're double the price. I went to go get it, and they had a big old sign. The minute I walked in the theater, it says sold out. Don't even ask.
That's crazy.
You can buy the Borderlands stuff, and we're like, who wants that shit?
Yeah,
keep that shit. I mean, listen, man, it's crazy, man. I hate to say the cliche term, right? But that Marvel is back and all stuff. But it feels like old Marvel. with San Diego Comic-Con having some huge reveals, them putting out a movie that makes $500 million, it just feels right. It just feels right. But as a Marvel fan, I'm enjoying the news. I enjoyed this fucking movie. It was great. So we're going to get into that. But did you want to talk a little bit about the Comic-Con announcement before we get into Deadpool, or
No,
do you care either way?
I think you kind of got to talk about the movie first.
Yeah. All right. So we'll talk about Deadpool first. So again, spoiler warning for those of you who have not seen Deadpool. We're about to speak on the cameos, about the movie, everything and anything. So if you have not seen the Deadpool movie, you are warned. Spoilers are ahead. All right, man. You got to see this first, and you text me right after, and you enjoyed the shit out of this movie. So what was it about this movie that you enjoyed in particular? Because I know what I like, but the other AD says, yeah, spoilers. Spoilers are ahead, man. So be warned. Here we go. So what was it about this movie, man, that you enjoyed?
Everything, bro. And the whole movie was good. Everything. The story was good. The cameos were really good. I mean, we kind of expected this, right? Like, Ryan Reynolds has taken a very good care of Deadpool. Hasn't really it seems like, at least, there's not much outside influence from the people he's working with the movie, the director, Sean Levy, and like watching him and Hugh Jackman on like Hot Ones and doing their like media stuff. You could tell, obviously they always said they're friends and stuff, but like you could really tell how close they are, and you can feel it in the movie, man. Like, yeah, the movie was wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, opening sequence had me, and this is because I'm a big NSYNC fan, but opening sequence with the Bye 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 song, but just it was funny, but the violence in that, man, where they were just annihilating those TVA agents right off the bat, and it just set the tone. I think even set the. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it let you know that Disney didn't stop any of what made Deadpool great. If anything, I think Disney allowed Deadpool to be exactly what it has always been from the movie standpoint, right? Like gory, a lot of dope kills, a little bit, like the raunchiness seemed like it got toned down a little, but they made jokes hinting at why the raunchiness. I mean, they had the running gag, the whole thing, the cocaine joke. It's like every other thing is like, yo, we can't say that, we can't have cocaine, So, other than that, though, like other than like the subtle like tone down of how vulgar Deadpool the character is itself, yeah, it seemed like Disney just allowed them to have all the reins. I mean, they used the TVA, honestly, less than I thought they would have. That makes sense. Like, they used the TVA and the Void kind of as just the background. And, like, yeah, it has something to do with the plot, but it's funny how even, like, Deadpool makes a joke. He's like, oh, so nobody upstairs actually knows what you're doing. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just like some random guy at the TVA trying to take over the world. And it's like, oh, yeah, like nobody else knows. Oh,
right. I mean, and that explains why this is happening without their knowledge, right? Without nobody, like saying what the fuck's going on down there. It's subtle, and it's a nice way of just explaining, like, here's why nobody knows what's happening with this story. But I don't know, man. It was so much fun just to see the jabs. Like they took jabs at Disney, obviously. They took huge jabs at 20th Century Fox in the X-Men movies. But it was more than that, right? There's fan service. There were things that were there just for fans, right? There were things that were there for the diehard fans, but there was stuff for comic book lovers. Like I, because I used to read Wolverine comics back in the day, and that was, I didn't know anything about like a lot of his lore, but the different Wolverines that they showed and the different variants of him, that was a pretty cool sequence that they put together. But the cameos and things that they put together were actually, they benefited the story. Some of them were gratuitous, like, okay, look, there's that guy. But they all had like a point. Like they had a reason to be there. It was funny. It was fun. It just wasn't for, just for the sake of throwing him in there. And even if they threw him in there, it was funny. It was well worth it. And it gave each of those characters fucking like a closure, either a closure or something that you probably wanted to see,
I don't agree with that. I feel like what I realized is exactly what we've been talking about for weeks now. Deadpool is literally grab the popcorn, go watch the movie type of thing. If there was no if Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2 didn't come out, this can be its own thing.
Yep.
Because you kind of have the exposition in the beginning of telling you exactly where Deadpool is. The character building, the only two characters that really got any character building was Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yep.
I think the one weakness of the movie, if you have to be actually, like objective, is the villains. The villains were kind of just plain.
Yeah.
But I think it goes back to what I'm saying right now, where they only really cared about the character growth of Deadpool and Wolverine, and they kind of let the other characters be side characters. Obviously in the movie they have, like their things to do in the movie. Like, what's the lady's name? Am I blanking?
Electra?
No. Why am I blanking?
Vanessa.
What's her name?
Vanessa?
No, the bad lady.
Oh God, I forgot her name. Baldy. We'll just call her Baldy.
Yeah, she was a good character, and I think if they would have dived in a little bit into her past, even a 2-minute, like just showing us just like her powers. I mean, her powers were very, very unique. The way they like expressed it on the screen itself with the fingers like in the head.
Oh yeah,
I thought that was kind of dope. But I think if you would have gave her a little bit more backstory, it would have made her more of a villain. Because again, this movie was just a popcorn movie. It was like, all right, it's exactly what they were kind of making fun of. Like, he had jokes about, most movies have like long run time, or he even said the joke at the end where he was like, "Don't worry, we're in the final stretch."
Yeah.
But yeah,
Promise.
I don't know. I think that's the only downfall of the movie is the villains themselves. Like they weren't as like you weren't as invested in them. But I think that's why the movie works, because it's like you could have put anybody there, and they pretty much did. You know what I mean? They put Toad, Sabretooth, put all these like miscellaneous bad guys that just got ran through. It was just cool to see them on screen fight. We didn't need to hear anything from them. I mean, Nightcrawler or Mystique's dad, the red guy that was disappearing, didn't say one word. You know what I mean? It's like it was just cool to see him there. Obviously the first cameo, which I thought was hilarious, was Chris Evans, and they kind of play it like if it's Captain America, but it turns out it's him as Johnny Storm, and like they played the joke the whole time that Deadpool got him killed, and kind of lied on his name. And I thought that was the one character they kind of just threw. Like, I mean, because it's Chris Evans, right? I don't think they want Chris Evans to like be running with Deadpool all day. You know what I mean? Like, or Wolverine. No. Like, I don't think they really wanted that. Nor do I think Chris Evans really wanted that. It was a good cameo. It was funny. It played dividends in the end, obviously with the post-credit scene. But perfect cameo. I think that was the only one that they kind of like put there to die. You know what I mean? Because I think the other cameos on the team didn't die, if I'm not mistaken.
No. But it was funny because I honestly had pegged him as Captain America or a variant of Captain America, and I go, oh yes, he's back. And I have to say before we talk about that cameo, this is one of those rare movies where I'm actually audibly making noises, like I'm fist pumping and doing kinds of shit in the movie. Because when Chris Evans shows up, I'm thinking it's Captain America, one of my favorite characters. I'm like, yeah, it's Captain America, right? And all of a sudden, I hear Deadpool in the background talking about, he's going to say it. He's going to say it. He's going to say and then he says, flame on. And then that's when I lost my shit. I was like, oh, no. And I forgot Chris Evans was Johnny Storm at one point. And when that happened, I was like, this is great. This is amazing. How you expected one thing, you got another, but it was even better. It was even better to see him as Johnny Storm. But the best part, I think, is when he gets taken out, the small comment that Deadpool makes, like, you know what he was doing to our budget? Like,
Yeah.
like that was, I was like, man, it's so smart, because it's like,
Actually,
you felt,
probably.
yeah, it's true. Like, he had a lot of screen time, and I'm sure a lot of hours spent on set, and then like you get rid of him, and it's like, okay, you've lost a huge chunk of the budget. So, which I thought was great. But the cool parts too were seeing some of the fantasy casting that was in there. Like, again, Johnny Storm coming back, that was interesting. Then you had a variant of Wolverine, which people have been talking about, when you see this ginormous buff dude, Henry Cavill. And I'm like, holy shit, they actually did it. Like, they actually put him in as Wolverine, and the place went absolutely insane. So I kind of see it as like, these types of movies, or this, again, I'm sure they're smart about it. They know what they're doing, but it's like a way to like test audiences, or to test, reactions.
I think with the Henry Cavill one, kind of, it opens up the door of him playing it, because I think, I forgot who said it, but somebody was like, I could see him playing, if Henry Cavill was like, yeah, I could play Wolverine, he could be the next Wolverine for the next probably like 10 years, because then you can have like the older version of Wolverine again, kind of like Logan, but you can have that more in the movie sense. Plus, like, I mean, who else bigger than Henry Cavill to cast as Wolverine? I kind of felt like it was like a tease, because now, all right, so it kind of ties into like the, what do you call it? Like the Comic-Con stuff. But Chris Evans being Johnny Storm and Captain America, and now it's official, it's in the MCU that he was both. I think opens up the doors for a lot of characters to play other variants, with other powers. And I think that was kind of like in my head, because obviously we're talking about the Robert Downey Jr. becoming Dr. Doom,
right,
playing that role. So to me, it was like them kind of like planting the seed, like another character can come back as a different character, or as somebody you don't expect them to come back as. It's just a variant, right? I feel like the Henry Cavill was kind of like the opposite of like, this might be, like you said, a test. Like, let's see. And obviously people went crazy for it.
Yeah. And like I said, the great part was, you get the fan service, you get the fantasy casting, and then you get the reality check, which is the fourth wall break, or you get the smart comment, which is, we're going to treat you so much better than DC ever did. Like the little comment in the background. I'm like, damn, it's just smart writing. But again, it treats the audience as intelligent. And that's what I like about the Deadpool movies, is that you could be a novice and still know exactly what's happening. You could just be a casual. But if you...
I feel like honestly, with this movie, you had to be tapped in to catch every joke.
Oh, no. Yes. No, I'm saying there's some jokes in there that if you just happen to know a little bit, or you just happen to, like, again, you're not a Marvel head, right? Or you're not, but you might know that Henry Cavill was unceremoniously out of DC, right? Like,
but I don't think most people, I think we're different. Like, we look for stuff like that. Not everybody's like that. Like, most people don't know shit about what's going on in terms of like the business side of movies. You know what I mean? They might hear maybe he was maybe out, but they didn't look into it. Like, most people aren't thinking about that. And I think a lot of jokes were for the people that are, watching reviews, listening to people talk about future things, because they hit on a lot of like topics, especially like, I thought was brilliant writing, but everybody says Marvel was in a slump, and they heavily made fun of that. You know what I mean? Like, they heavily made fun of that. And I think that's, again, smart writing. But if you don't watch everything, of Marvel. Like, let's say there's a lot of people. Guaranteed, a lot of people missed a lot of shit.
Oh yeah,
They might
yeah,
have saw WandaVision. They might have saw. They definitely didn't see like She-Hulk or something. You know what I mean? So like, if you're not tapped in, again, you're gonna miss a lot of those jokes because I don't know. It felt like they hit every sense of the nerd, right? The comic book nerds, the Marvel, the MCU nerds, the people that deep dive and speculate on what's gonna happen with Marvel. I don't know, man. Smart movie.
yeah. No, again, just again, entertaining movie, fun movie, smart movie. Um, a little of I just think for me a little of everything, but it's been a long time since I felt like a great fun feeling like that in the movies where it's a thrill to be there, and the audience reaction to a lot of shit that happened was amazing. And again, I was there not opening night because Thursday, I think Wednesday, Thursday was the opening night, but sold out show. So you have people sitting in the front row of an IMAX theater looking straight up, which is insane to me. And you can feel the energy, man. You can feel the energy in the thing. It was just fun. It was great. And then, you got people talking about it on the way out of the theater, which I love that part, which is, everyone's just kind of talking about it. We're talking about the cameos, we're talking about the post credit. But no, man, it's Chat Mom says I would vomit. My vertigo could never. Yeah, no, I would never buy that ticket. But yeah, no, it's been really good. So you had Chris Evans, and then you had a slew of others, which were surprising, right?
It sucks.
What's that?
I very much so didn't watch any spoilers. All right, I lied. I went and looked up spoilers, right? But I tried to like be very vague because I kind of wanted to like be a little surprised. But I did read like the cameos beforehand, and I was kind of like not let down, but I was like, oh, I kind of knew all these cameos were coming because like throughout the whole time this movie was in production, it was like, oh, they seen this person there, they seen this person there. It was like they might be coming back for something, and like most people, speculated that was gonna be for Deadpool. So like Wesley Snipes, Carmen Electra, or not Carmen Electra, Electra herself. Oh, Carmen Electra, wrong Electra. But like those characters, I knew. Channing Tatum, I remember hearing about, but seeing them was a different feeling. Like I knew they were coming. But Gambit coming in the comic book accurate Gambit. Now, of course, like they made fun of his accent, and I think like somebody was like, "Now we see why the Channing Tatum Gambit movie got scrapped." It's like, no, I think they were like, they did it to like make fun of the accent instead. You know what I mean? Like, I think if he would have played the character, it would have been a little bit more serious, of like having a Cajun accent. He probably would have like incorporated. It just sounded like he was like doing an impression of somebody from there. You know what I mean? And obviously Deadpool hitting the jabs at it, but then Wesley Snipe, like seeing him back, Blade, Blade, the movie itself is one of my favorite Marvel movies ever, to be honest. So like seeing that was kind of dope because it's like, again, just how long, like the X-Men movie specifically, but even Blade, all that happened when my dad was still alive, and my dad died right before X-Men came out, I'm pretty sure. But like we went to go see Blade, and then the next day he like we went to like a dollar store, bought some swords, and like acted like we were in the movie, right? So to see it come like kind of like a full circle moment, because as much as they made fun of Fox, they definitely, everybody it's a love letter to the Fox universe, and it's rightfully so. Like it really is. It felt like it, like especially with the end of the credits where they like show the behind the scenes things. But even through the movie, like even though they were joking about it a lot, it just, you could tell they took care of the characters, right? Like they brought the characters over, and they were making fun of Channing Tatum's accent, but like they weren't making fun of like Blade like that, you know what I mean? They weren't making fun of Elektra, X-23. They were like respecting the characters, and I kind of enjoyed that they didn't die at the end, because then leaves it open for Secret Wars. You can have all of them come back,
right?
Even like the next Deadpool movie, you can even have like a little X-Force with some of these characters and add them in, right? But I
Yeah,
really
I mean,
enjoyed, like I said, I really enjoyed the aspect of them treating the cameos with like they're not just cameos; they're actual characters in the movie. We didn't just put Wesley just to say, "Hey, Wesley was in the movie." It's more like let's give Wesley a kind of a pivotal role to help these two go achieve their goals, and then keep them alive, and we'll keep them around. And I like the little jab of Wesley saying, "I'm the only Blade," and like looking at the
right? Oh yeah.
camera, like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, that was again. It was that was the smart move, which is like, okay, let's acknowledge the fact that we're delayed on the other Blade project, and let him have his moment. And he has been the only Blade. There's been no other live action reference to Blade, and so that was great that he got to say those lines.
I am sad
But
we
you're
didn't see the Punisher. We did get the mention
yeah,
because he was using the bazooka. He's like, "Which Punisher?
yeah.
There's like 5 of them." He's like, honestly, I thought about it. I was like, what Punisher would they have put in? Like the one that died. Which one was it? It couldn't have been. I mean, I think honestly, the smart answer would probably be the one from the Netflix Daredevils. Like,
Yeah,
what's his name? Bernthal.
Bernthal. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it would be him just because of the reboot of Deadpool. Supposedly, he's coming back to reprise his role in that. So I think it would have been a smart move, but it would have been so cool to see the original Punisher, just to like have that again, going to that era of the Marvel movies.
Yeah, and you're right. They did give them respect, and they did take care of them. They pulled out Elektra. She got a little jab at her ex-husband Ben Affleck by saying, "Hey, where's Daredevil? Hey, we don't need him."
Like he died.
Yeah, it's okay. He's all right. But yeah, Blade, when Blade showed up, I was like, damn, this is amazing. And then Gambit, I was like, this is every fan. Like I'm not I will admit, I'm not a Gambit fan. I'm not like one of those people who wanted Gambit in a movie. I don't really care about the character, but I've heard so much of people wanting Channing Tatum or wanting this movie to be made. So when it came out, and the roar of the crowd that I was with was like amazing. I was like, oh, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like they gave these people like what they wanted to see. She's a stop. Who do they have as Gambit? So we just tell her, right? Spoilers, right? Yeah. So
We were talking about you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So
She clearly doesn't care.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. They had Channing Tatum. Channing Tatum is
so long to say that, dude.
Well, I felt bad.
Oh, yo,
she's not
before I forget and it leaves my mind, yo, I gotta say the thumbnail is one of your best.
Oh, thanks, man.
But
Thanks.
also, come on, dude. I'm more of a Deadpool than a Wolverine guy.
Well, I was just behind Deadpool. That's all. I wasn't.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I was behind him.
Choice.
Yeah, you were actually Wolverine. I was behind Deadpool. So, thank you for that.
So I was wondering.
Oh man, no, I got creative because I was like, you know what, you gave me a good idea with it, and I said I'm gonna give him something good because we kind of been lacking in the content department this week. So I was like, let me at least give him a good thumbnail. So yeah, man. So yeah, Channing Tatum comes out, the roar of the crowd, Wesley Snipes, and then they have that great exchange. And it's just again, it's just a cool team up that they have.
Well, we didn't really get into the Wolverine side. We haven't talked about Wolverine at all.
Well, that's true.
Listen,
I mean,
listen.
There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, but I think the choice of Wolverine they chose was perfect because it would have been cool to. Honestly, it was either this. It was like down on the luck Wolverine. That's kind of always Wolverine's demeanor. It would have been also cool to see like a Wolverine that's been very much so involved with the X-Men and kind of like probably like at the peak of like him being an X-Men, right? Like that would have been cool to see as well, like a well put together Wolverine that kind of doesn't want to take Deadpool shit because he's been through a lot. But like I think this Wolverine helped with the emotion of the movie. Like it gave it more emotion. It allowed Wolverine to carry the burden of like being that like getting people in the fields, because I think personally the X-23 Wolverine exchange at the campfire was probably like one of my favorite parts of the movie, and also like when they were in the van and
Yeah.
Wolverine was talking, like
Ooh,
kind of
yeah.
like
Yeah,
those two scenes for me were, to me, probably my favorite scenes, if I have to be honest, because again, the whole movie was funny. The whole movie had a lot of good action, a lot of good blood. You know what I mean? Like it was a dope movie, but like the little bits and pieces of heart you get in it, even like Deadpool, like when Vanessa, like when he's
Yeah.
explaining what's going on with Vanessa, even that you could feel like he wants purpose. He wants to fulfill that because he wants her at the end of the day, but also like he's like, what am I without the Deadpool thing? And obviously he comes to terms with like he's just Deadpool, like at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. You're right. That's why the movie works. I think that's why it's not just a cameo fest, right? Fan service movie. It has heart. It has little elements. But you're right that when Wolverine breaks down Deadpool and gives him the business about like who he is, and I was like, holy shit! There's just nothing he can come back to from that, and it was like, oh my god! And then that's when they have that massive fight inside the minivan,
In the minivan, yeah.
which I never thought I'd see it to a Grease song.
Yo, that shit had me dead. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's why I was like,
Like,
oh
I actually
my
forgot
God.
about that. Holy shit!
Yeah.
I forgot about that. That was a great part.
I thought of you guys
Nah,
instantly.
yeah,
I was like,
same. I was like, they're gonna laugh so hard.
I watched it,
It threw me off because I was like, what the fuck?
Well, I heard The Greatest Showman when he hit his face on the thing, and I was like, oh no, please don't tell me they're gonna fight to The Greatest Show, which would have been funny in itself. But when they had chose a Grease song, I was like, hey, that's an interesting choice, and they were violent as hell.
Yeah.
But you're right. There's so much heart in the movie. There's actually, I was surprised they went that direction with Deadpool's relationship, but it's a great way of moving his purpose along.
I didn't like
a
that,
reason.
actually.
No,
I
but
like the moment, but it felt like a story. It felt like a plot. Like
Plot armor?
she doesn't want to be with you. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
it. Like the only reason she doesn't want to be with you is because we have to write something interesting for you. Like because they didn't really like dive deep in, even at the end when Wolverine's like kind of tells him to go get her, and then like they have that moment where it's like, hi, like even that, like it was like, oh, so now all of a sudden it's all fixed. Like he goes and saves the world. Like this is gold digging bitch doing with this guy. You know what I mean? Like what? To me, it was kind of dumb. It gave art to the movie because you felt Deadpool's motivation. I mean, even when he's like, this is my world. There's only 9 people in here, but like I gotta save him. Like you feel it. He wants to save him. I enjoyed that, but I didn't like I was like, you could have found something else. Then,
Yeah. No.
But Wolverine, how'd you feel when they put on the mask? When he put on the mask?
Holy shit, man!
I think
he looked menacing, bro. Like that was insane, bro. I was like, he's a whole nother fucking character. Yeah,
it did it.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't really show it too. Like it was like they kind of kept it hidden because they were saying like you never really seen his back the whole movie or any of the trailers, but that was the only time I personally was like, oh fuck, like let's go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
no, he was like, again, that whole mask transition, like he looked amazing, and he looked like a completely different character, a badass, and it was just like, wow, I didn't know
look goofy at all either.
No, it looked really, really like put together, and I was like, I love this. Like this is insane. It was just great. It was great. Again, the way that the eyes lined up, and it was kind of like the same eye format that the Deadpool had. The mask itself was just, again, it just worked. It just worked so well. Man, and then now again, they find their way to the void. We meet more characters. You got Sabretooth, which was that was in the trailer. And then you meet, all the different villains that we talked about. That was interesting to see. I pointed out a couple of them to my kids. I was like, yeah, that's Darth Maul over there. He's the Toad. This guy is this guy. Like, it was just so much, again, so much to see and so much to point at. Yeah. But really, when they get back, the story kind of keeps, moves a little bit faster at that point. Because it does drag a little bit at that point. Like, it just kind of stand still a little bit. That. Well, for me, they just spent a little too much time in that area, but it was interesting. I'm just saying from an outside looking in, I was like, okay. But we met Nice Pool, which Nice Pool was a fun brief comic relief moment, but a gruesome moment later on where they just absolutely annihilate the fucking guy.
Well, I mean, he said it. He's like, I need those guns now. He's like, yeah, take them off my dead bodies. I'm okay.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I like foreshadowing. No, there was just so many things. And then they had all those Deadpool variants. That was
the Deadpool core.
That was fun. Cool.
See, like that I would have enjoyed more than just a fight scene.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it would have been funny, like, him interacting with them, even a little bit. Like, he didn't really talk to them that much. Had, like, a couple little dialogue, and then, obviously, that moment literally set up the mask, him putting on the mask, and then, they go through, which I thought was dope, but, like, the side scroll of, like, running through the Deadpool, it felt like a video game. It felt like reading a comic book, like, yeah, that shit was dope. But, again, like they made all this like talk about Lady Deadpool. Even like Matthew McConaughey was the cowboy Deadpool.
Yep.
And he didn't really even say that much, so it's like, I don't know.
And then
that part I could have did more. Huh?
Yeah, Lady Deadpool was Blake Lively, which I thought it was Taylor Swift, but that was my guess. It sounded like Taylor Swift. But they never revealed their face. I had to wait for the credits and had to read who it was. No, but I think that was the moment, which was a great moment, in the movie where this is the reset, right? Where Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds, he basically says, enough of the fucking variant shit. Enough of the multi-dimensional shit. Let's just prime and let's just go. And I think that was kind of at least for me, was the message that he kind of just reset and said, enough of this nonsense. We go from here and we move forward. And then honestly, this is what I took out of it. I don't know. I haven't watched the new Rockstars or anybody else do their breakdowns yet, but when I saw the new timeline, when they reset the time breaker or whatever, it looked like there was only one sacred timeline and I didn't see branches. So I don't know if that means anything. I don't know if they're just going to try to stick to one timeline event or
remember,
one event
Loki ended with one. It became one timeline. So it was the whole time. It was one timeline. It was just everything breaking off of that timeline, as opposed to before there was different branches, and then they had their own little break-offs themselves. Now it's just one branch with whatever break-offs.
Right.
Because that's the thing. You got to think, like, with Fantastic Four coming out, that's supposed to take place in the 60s, and that obviously cannot be in the same MCU. So it has to be a different branch of that one single timeline.
Yep. But that's the thing, and that's what I'm saying. Like, that might be the key to this whole thing, is let's just keep it in one unified world of things we're doing. But you've got Secret Wars coming up, and you've got a couple things. So we'll see how they handle the stories moving forward. But it seems like a more linear, like self-contained story is probably what they need. Because going all over the place is a lot.
I mean, it's still gonna go all over the place, dude. Like, you got to think, Secret Wars is literally a multiversal event that has variants on variants on variants. So it's still gonna be the same thing. But I think now it's gonna be, I mean, especially with taking the Kang aspect out of it, the Kang thing opens up even more like multiversal things just because of you're dealing with different versions of Kangs and shit. But I think going forward, they're gonna have like obviously like I said, Fantastic Four. They're set in the '60s. They're just gonna have to bring them over, right? Like they're not gonna like play in both worlds or like go back and forth. Like, all right, we bring these guys over, now they're a part of the MCU. You know what I mean? Like this is the main line. I think same thing with like the Fox characters. I think every Fox character from now on is a go that's ever been, because it's like now you can bring them back as a variant in Secret Wars. They're all part of, like you said, the one. I think it really just put Fox with Marvel at the end of the day.
Yeah. And then, I mean, again, it helps to bring a little bit of people back to the movies, right? Back to this universe that was a little bit splintered, right? To a lot of different people. It was a fun time at the movies, but again, it's just something that needed to happen, and Deadpool was like the perfect catalyst to do it, right? It can make fun of things, it can correct things, it can point out things that you've been, complaining about in a fun way, and it shows that, hey, we understand, we hear you, right? As fans, like we hear what you said, and we hear, we understand. And I think the next slate of movies and the next sort of things coming out are going to be very interesting, because again, they're slowing down the machine and they're saying, all right, we're going to do this way. But again, Deadpool and Wolverine is just one of those things. Is again a cinematic event. It's a fun summer event that, again, almost $500 million. It's got people talking, Marvel's back. It's got all these things, and again, they've lined things up perfectly with this movie. But at the end of the day, Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman have that chemistry. Like you had said before, it's evident that they enjoy working with each other. It was fun to watch them fight each other several times in the movie. And it was just an enjoyable experience. I mean, I enjoyed it from top to bottom. I think I definitely want to try to see it again, because again, I had a great time, but now I want to just relax and watch it again. Now that I've just, because you catch different jokes and you want to watch it. I'm probably gonna watch it one more time before it makes the digital. But any like final thoughts on the movie itself, because or things that maybe we missed, because other than the cameos and the things,
but let's see.
There's a lot. There's just so lot. There's so much to unpack.
Yeah, I don't know. It was good. Definitely go see it in theaters if you haven't. I mean, it's a dope feeling seeing theaters bubble again. Like we saw it last year with Oppenheimer and Barbie, but now it's like solidified, right? Like Twister did well. Like movies like that are doing well. Obviously, Deadpool. Like it felt slow at my job because we have the theater in the same plaza, but you can see the theater was fucking packed. Like you can just see like all the cars and shit, and it's been like that all weekend. So it's dope, man. We're gonna get good movies. Obviously, now I guess we transition to like Comic-Con, but this movie gets me excited for the future. Now, some people have a problem with like them announcing that Robert Downey Jr.'s the Doom character, like what's it, Dr. Doom? But
yeah,
I think it's a great casting. I think if he wasn't Iron Man before, is my mic messing up?
No, you're good.
If it wasn't or if he didn't play Iron Man already and like obviously die the way he did in Endgame, and like I think that's where people are kind of having the problem of like he's playing this character, but also they're like, oh, there's no Iron Man or there's no Tony Stark variant, but there is in the comics. There is an actual one variant that became a Doctor Doom. So obviously they're gonna play off of that one. But I think it's a brilliant move because they needed somebody big because of the Kang shit. So who bigger than the guy who started the MCU and now playing the villain? And you know, a lot of people I've seen all over the internet, like it's gonna be kind of crazy for like Spider-Man to see Tony Stark look-alike try to end the world and try to do bad things. You know, obviously they announced Avengers Doomsday, so I hope we see him before that. Like, I hope we do see him in like the Fantastic Four, which I feel like we might because Fantastic Four comes out like what, a year before the Doomsday game. I mean Doomsday game, the Avengers Doomsday movie.
Yeah, I
So
believe so. Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna be like the main villain of that, but I think he's gonna show his head for sure. And you know, speaking of the Fantastic Four, like there was like a leak online. I don't know if you got to see it, like got to watch
I did.
it.
I did. It looked good. It looked great.
I was literally watching one before I sent that. I was watching one, got halfway, and literally it went content unavailable while I was watching it. So they're like they were trying to take it down. That's why I messaged you. I was like, watch this before it goes away because it literally happened while I was watching it. You know, I heard before I saw the visual, but like they announced Galactus or they showed Galactus and like he looked like a celestial size being, which you know, a lot of people were excited for because the first Galactus was like a cloud or some shit. The movie itself, it looks like quirky. I thought it's a great take on it because one, it's in the 60s, so they're gonna kind of like play on that time. But also, when I thought about it, I was like, all the other Fantastic Fours were more serious movies, right? Like, and they didn't work. Like, people don't like Fantastic Four movies. So I think going with like a more quirky, maybe make it feel like a Guardians of the Galaxy type of feel, like a family type. You know, we have jokes, we save the world type of thing. Obviously, Reed Richards is one of the smartest guys in Marvel itself. So it's like you still have that element, but it's like keep it quirky, and I think it could work.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like it's like the WandaVision thing. Like they're gonna go for something that's a little bit different. It's gonna be its own thing, right? But again, those comics were their own thing. Like if you revisit those same comics, they were a little bit corny. They were a little bit cheesy, right? They had, you know, their own nostalgia to them. So why not go with that to introduce these characters, and then you can bring them along and make them more serious later on down the road. But why not bring them in the form that they were originally introduced? I don't see a problem with that. And yeah, they try to modernize them in the Fox version or the 20th Century Fox versions of them, and they were great. And I mean, listen, I enjoyed those movies. I thought those movies were I mean, I didn't think they were the greatest movies ever made, but I enjoyed all those movies. But again, they try to modernize them. They try to make them, you know, for today's audiences. And so when because the clip that you sent me, I watched it and I was like, this looks like fun and it looks like something different. And I don't mind seeing something different if it's going to have elements that are going to be introduced, and it's going to be an interesting ride for sure. But I'm sure there's going to be bigger and better visuals that come with that. Like there's going to be a little bit more to it. But from what I saw,
I mean, we didn't see any.
It looks interesting. No, I know.
We didn't see them even power up, to be honest.
Right. This could be the facade, right? This could be their cover, right, to what they do as scientists behind the scenes or what they. But even then, it's still fun. It's still like it's almost like the old Superman stuff, right? Like the Clark Kent character, right? He's really goofy and you know, over the top, nerdy, but he's still Superman, right? So I think it might be that. Who knows? But that's interesting because they have them appear at Comic-Con, the first, not their first appearance, but they came out as a cast, right? Then they had the Doctor Doom announcement, which was huge. But I mean, for it to silence the Deadpool and Wolverine discussions was crazy because you know, my news feed was nothing but Deadpool and Wolverine and how great it was, and then all of a sudden Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom is all I saw and that's it. That's all I've seen. And then of course there's, you know, people who don't like that casting and all that stuff. You just have to wait and see. And again, I was not aware. I won't lie and be like, oh, I knew there was another variant. I wasn't aware, but like I saw that somebody said, look, there's like a couple of different comic books that went that direction, where either Doctor Doom takes over Tony Stark's body, or they're like mind switching, or that Tony Stark goes dark or rogue and he becomes a Doctor Doom type character wearing an Iron Man suit. I'm like, that's all very interesting. So I'm like, why not go with that? There's so many stories you can explore. Why wouldn't that be a story you would want to explore? So again, people are saying, oh, it's lazy casting. You just want Robert Downey Jr. And maybe it is, but there's a story there that can be told.
That's the thing. I don't think it is lazy casting. I think
yeah,
they wanted to find a way to bring him back. He probably isn't interested. And like, Doctor Doom is an evil version of Tony Stark, right? Like, so you just play the same character, but do bad things. And to me, it's not lazy. Like, I think they have a plan. They had to scramble after the Jonathan Major shit. But I think right now it seems Marvel has a plan with what they're doing with the future of this. Obviously, even the Captain America movie, I think is going to be a sleeper. I think it's going to be a sleeper in the box office because now people are hype about Marvel movies because of Deadpool. So now they're going to go at least check it out, you know. And I think it's going to be a sleeper movie because I think it's going to, you know, a lot of people are saying it's like Civil War vibes, or like what's the other one, Winter Soldier, was more like espionage. And again, letting these characters be in movies that fit their lane is perfect, because again, you don't have to do the multiverse cross. If you want to, you can, now that it's open. But like, you give us these one-off stories, even though this had to deal with the multiverse, it wasn't one of those multiversal like Doctor Strange type movies. It literally was a self-contained story. You had a beginning, middle, and end, and it worked wonderful, you know. And it was missing some things in terms of like storytelling, where like, you know, I wanted more from the villain, maybe even show us a little bit more of like what happened to the Wolverine instead of just giving us a dialogue about it, but like show us a little bit we could have seen. Other than that, like, it was a perfectly put together, go to the movies, have fun, see shit that if you were a fan for your whole life of any medium of Marvel, you're excited for. It excites you for the future. So like, I think this movie did perfect, and I think it shows again what we've been talking about. Like, yo, give us self-contained stories. Yeah, let it be overarching, but it doesn't have to be in the movie. Like, listen, this connects with this and this. Like, we don't need that right now. We just need good films, and we're gonna go watch it. And people are gonna go get up out of their house for a good film. And Deadpool shows that. Again, you know, 2 years ago when we first started this show, it was looking like movies was dead. And we were talking about it a lot, like, well, we don't go to the movies as much. You know, people don't go. They're not getting up for these movies. Then you see the like bubble of Barbenheimer, and it's like, oh, people are still interested. They still like it. And again, I think this year, out of the pandemic, this has been the best year for movies in terms of like going and watching film. And I think that entices people, like, or entices these studios to be like, all right, let's put out a good product. They're gonna show. Now we know they're gonna show. Let's continue to put out product. And now we know people, when people don't like shit, they're not showing up. It's not because they're not just gonna show up. It's not 1990 where they're just gonna show up because it's Friday night and a movie's, you know, like what is there to do? Back then you would just like, oh, you want to go catch a film? Yeah. Now it's not that. You're going to go see movies that you think are good in theaters. If not, you wait 30 days and it's on your TV at home. So it's like, if it's worth it, we're going. If it's not, you know, and I think Deadpool really pretty much, I mean, bro, $500 million in opening weekend. And then I think they spent $200 million. So they're up $300 million.
Yeah.
And it's only crazy. And people are, bro, I'm gonna try to at least see it one more time in theaters. You're gonna try to see it one more time in theaters. Like, it's probably gonna break $1 billion. Like, let's just.
Oh yeah.
I just don't want. You know what I don't want though? Even if Captain America is a good film and like people don't go and see it and like the numbers don't do well, I don't want to hear Marvel's back to their bullshit. Like, shut the fuck up, bro. Like, you just didn't want to like this movie. I personally think the trailers look really good. I think they've kept a lot from people about that movie. Yeah, I'm excited, man. There's a lot of good Marvel shit coming up in the next couple years, and I think Deadpool really set the tone.
No, for sure. I think I agree with you that the Captain America movie is a sleeper. I think it's going to be good in that sense of that's the Civil War, Winter Soldier type movie, and I love that movie. I love those two movies. I think it won't do. Obviously, it's not going to do Deadpool and Wolverine numbers, but I think it should do moderately successful. I think the movie, and I've been talking about this, and I know it's outside of this topic, but I think the movie that's going to absolutely fucking tank is Borderlands. That movie has no chance.
I don't know if that's true, because again, if they give you a Borderlands where like, one thing about the Deadpool movie, right, is that it was fan servicey. I didn't really agree when you were saying like, oh, it wasn't too fan servicey. It wasn't too, oh, here's a camera. It was, but guess what? It was right. Everything people bitch about when it comes to these member berries and these fan servicey moments, Deadpool kind of did correctly. It's like, we're gonna give you this. We're gonna show you a tease of Hulk fighting Wolverine, and it's gonna be done nice and it's gonna be quick. Like you understand this is a quick thing, but this is like a very they give you the comic book accurate suit already, but then they give you another one on top of it. I even like how they did the short Logan. They do like little fan servicey, but it's like perfectly done. And if Borderlands does something like that now, I don't know. I feel like I thought it came out, but then I think I was confusing it with Fallout. But I remember somebody asked me, was like, you gonna go see that? I was like, didn't that shit come out already? Like, I'm not gonna. What? And he was like, no, it's coming out. I think it was Tang. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna personally watch it. But if it's a good film, again, people are gonna go. And I think, to my point about the Captain America, if that movie is good, it's gonna do well. I think it's gonna do really well, surprisingly to like some people's expectations of the movie. Because again, it's kind of got a low bar to hit to be a success for them. You know what I mean? It's just got to be. To be honest, it's got to be better than Black Widow. You know what I mean? Like,
no, for sure. No, as I'm saying, I think it will do well. I think if the reviews are well and people go out and enjoy
like
it,
word of mouth,
I think second viewing or like the second week it will pick up steam. I think that's the type of movie that is. There's something in my gut that says Borderlands is trying to do something that it's not. And again, I'm not a Borderlands fan. I'm watching the trend and I'm seeing how it's marketed.
Weird, anyways.
Yeah.
The game looks weird anyway. Like, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, what gives me hope for it is Kevin Hart. Like, Kevin Hart, no matter what, does smart moves. I think when it comes to business, like he makes smart business moves. He's not going to be in a movie he doesn't think will do well. Now, I don't know how much he probably knew about Borderlands beforehand, but just what I see from Kevin Hart seems like he makes the right decisions all the time. So to me, that kind of gives it hope for like that movie being actually, pretty high grossing. And like people are, again, I'm coming off of this, bro. I really think the next couple like big movies that drop in the next probably year and a half, people are gonna go watch, because this movie really, bro, the whole parking lot was full.
Yeah,
the whole parking lot, and I've been seeing like you can feel it with Twisters and Quiet Place. Like people were going out and watching these films. I think Deadpool kind of breaks the levee, and like the rest of the year, movies are gonna do pretty good numbers.
Yeah. Well, again, you get back to the theater, you have a good experience, you had a good time.
I want to do
it again.
Yeah, I had a great time last week.
Exactly. I want to go back. And you got the popcorn tin.
Oh, yep. But even like people that haven't been to the movies in a while, it's like, oh, I forgot what it was like going to the movies with the fam and like seeing something good and being able to discuss it on the ride home or go out to eat, grab a couple drinks and talk about it. So like, yeah, man, Deadpool, thank you guys for releasing a great movie. We were very hype on it and it delivered in my personal opinion, every way possible.
Yeah, no, again, I was so excited. I'm glad I didn't get any spoilers. I stayed away from the internet for a couple of days. I'm so thankful. It was exactly what I needed, and it was exactly what I wanted. I had so much fun, and again, had me again fist pumping and making noises at all the cameos, at all the funny moments, and it was great. It was great, and I'm glad that we got to see it, and I'm glad that we are talking about it and we reviewed it here on tonight's episode. All right, so we've come to the midnight hour. I can feel the power. I've been listening to that stupid song too much. I literally have. All right, man. So we're at the point of the show where we're gonna have to say goodnight. Let me say thank you to everyone who showed up here. We had the other AD, Scared Witless. We had Chat Mom. We had Katie. It was kind of a quiet night in terms of the chat, but I think spoiler discussions generally we'll do that if you haven't seen the movie, and that's fine. Hopefully you guys enjoyed our discussion about it. If you guys want to watch more or listen to other versions or other discussions we've had, go to our YouTube channel, The Big Llama Show. You can see other live streams that we've done, or go to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, look up The Big Llama Show. You can look at other podcasts that we've done. And if you look for AD, he's also on Twitch at _AD. When he's streaming on there, you guys can check him out. And again, we'll have more content. We've got some stuff coming out this week. We'll have some Vampire Diaries. Another episode will be run this week. And hopefully we can get The Longest Yard out this week as well. Movie reaction. So we got some stuff coming out next week. And thank you guys so much for supporting us. I'm the Big Llama. He is BLKOUT AD. We'll see you guys next Sunday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the Big Llama Show.